Agency. And Pia Figueroa, who is the founder of Presenza, and she has those contacts mainly with China. They are looking for the right channel to contact our forum project with. I suggested a large organization specialized in human rights there. That would be perhaps a good point of call, but they are looking for others. Okay. Because if we have China and India and Russia, well, that means that the central, in terms of population, in terms of nations, in terms of influence, etc., are there. And plus other smaller ones. But yes. So in that sense, Jay, it's so important the contribution that Ekta Parishad can make because I know that you are, once Rajagopal said in one of the meetings that they contacts in Indonesia and Thailand, and he mentioned a few countries. And
many countries.
And even in Latin America or in Africa, because that is also extremely important.
Also, he clearly told me twice during the event that we'll connect all the organizations and network with this, because that need is there also. Yeah. And really, if India, China, and Russia come together on peace, it can change the whole world.
Exactly. And they are already the BRIC countries. I mean, it's a way of counterbalance the influence of the Americans, but also now we have, other than an economic alliance or strategic alliance, we will introduce a human part of it.
Oh, yes.
They never talk about that, and it's essential.
Yes.
Very true. Very true.
Philosophy of nonviolence. I mean, that should be shouted all over the planet, because I hear it very little, and it's the most important factor to influence our historical times.
Very true. Non-violence has to become the main shouting point. Doesn't matter if it makes the noise, but it has to be the main shouting point instead of all the nonsense and the bombs going around everywhere.
Exactly.
I mean, even today there are 58 or 59 wars going on across the world. Apart from smaller conflicts. I mean, India, Pakistan is really at war. If you look at it, every day there is firing. Some people are getting killed. Some attempts are being made. India, China is at war. Like this. Myanmar is at war within itself. North Korea, South Korea, in Africa.
And they are all instigated by not by people essentially, but by communalism is a result of people that are keeping that sort of division, as it happened during the first efforts of Gandhi, I mean, to create the unity and expel the British. I mean, you wrote something just now in 100 years back in what was the struggle in 1921 or something. Yeah, it's the same thing.
Also, in this context, I want to remind of what, well, it is in the scope of what Tony Robinson was saying in the peace conference, Asian Peace Conference. It's like he was referring to the report of the physicians against nuclear weapons or something like that. And they took an example in 2012 of a, possible scenario of Pakistan and India getting into nuclear war, and with 50 bombs or so.
Yeah, with just 50 bombs from each side, the whole world would be in trouble.
Yeah, and in that process, the pollution from this war would get into the atmosphere and would importantly hit the northern hemisphere, where 2 millions of people would die. So those things are really, to have some kind of quiet mind or place in your head to think about this. This is very powerful and should be presented in the West, absolutely.
And one more very important point that he touched was of nuclear power stations. Because really the nuclear power stations are actually meant to create the radioactive positive material for the bombs. And the energy that you get, the power that you get is a byproduct from that. Because that whole reaction to convert uranium into bomb grade uranium is what they call in chemistry an exothermic reaction. Exothermic reaction means it generates whole lot of heat, and to cool down that heat they run it through water, and that's what creates the energy, because with that they run a generator, and that generator creates the electricity. So really the nuclear power station, it's the name itself is wrong. It is not a nuclear power station, it is a nuclear bomb creating chemical factory. Power is a byproduct. It's just a byproduct of that. And they are created only for this purpose. Only to create bomb grade uranium and plutonium.
So we have to take a very strong stand regarding the elimination of nuclear weapons. Lots with the treaty has been progressed, but the big nuclear powers, I mean, they have not signed into it. And how many are they? Like 11 or 13 nuclear powers?
Yeah, something like that. I mean, less than 20, including
so
India.
We have lots of work to do that. And if the whole humanity really are reading from the same page, they will have no way to continue. They will have to sit down and come to a plan to dismantle all the arsenals. And that will be a change of pace in the history of modern humanity, which is fantastic.
Exactly.
And I think it's a very important message in Europe, because just to take a little example of the ignorance, the total ignorance regarding nuclear weapons, that in the news some week ago or something, there was interviews with people in Poland, and they were asked, aren't you afraid if the Russians would send a nuclear bomb on Poland? And they said, well, no, not so much in Poland, but we think that if they send a nuclear bomb, they would send it to Ukraine. Across the border. So it's like the ignorance
it's not within our territory, so they cannot imagine what is a nuclear explosion.
So I think the very important task is to have this perspective of what is a nuclear bomb, in a nice and easy way to understand.
Important of peace.
Because this information is not encouraged, not spread much, and sometimes it's only more like a fashionable statement of things, and people don't really understand. Because see, recently, I think 2 months ago, there was an accidental missile firing from India to Pakistan.
Luckily, it was not had no detonator. But those things can happen. That's the thing. No?
And you know what they say immediately after that? No, all our missiles are absolutely safe. Arey, what about the one that went like this?
Yes.
No, that we are investigating, but everything is absolutely safe.
All the rest is safe.
Yes.
And then the journalist says, okay, but what happened to the... No, that we are investigating.
Yes. And in the West, the discussion in media everywhere between people is totally hysterical. It's hysterical. And it is blended with the call for more weapons and more war. And in that atmosphere, it is we must take that into notice, because if you start in the West to mention anything like peace or something like that, then you get a response, well, Putin must love you very much to talk about this. So
they put everything in personal terms. I mean, they don't understand how really is what is the arms trade, the arms industry. That is the main export in quite a few countries. The United States leave out of that. and the war industry have the politicians in Washington in the pocket.
Yes.
If they elect you into the assembly, into the lower house, immediately they come and they offer to be a shareholder of this, and they start to corrupt you. When you become a senator, you have already 50 or 60 million dollars, and you are shareholders of all the big corporations that produce bombs. And you sign immediately when there is a project to invade a country or to sell bombs here or there, or tanks or arms. So it's so corrupt that, of course, they live out of the war industry. And the US dollar, the control that they have as a refuge currency, or the backup currency of the world, means that they can keep printing dollars and nobody knows the real value of the dollar.
Exactly.
Because they say it's a fiduciary currency, and you cannot argue about that. Since the end of the Second World War, they have it. For the last 70 years, they have it. So practically, for all the expenditure of the American state in the arms and wars, it doesn't cost them. It costs us all the rest of the planet. Because by using the currency that is a devalued currency, we are endorsing the effort. And they are contracting debt of the Treasury of the United States. And it's the people, not only the Americans, but the people all over the world that use the dollars. That's how China now is starting to use the renminbi, and the Russians, their own, what is it, ruble, and little by little, they are trying to reduce the use of the American dollar. So at one point, the inflation in the United States will rocket. At the moment, it's going up. They think that is something temporary, but it will start to become long-term when more trade is moving into other currencies. And then their own economy will start to go down. And the American, the public, will start to get against the establishment in Washington. So all these things are happening in this world at the same time, which is positive, because we'll have to have a profound change, because the order at the moment is unacceptable. It doesn't work anymore, if ever worked.
Sorry.
Yeah, in all this discussion, Antonio, there are two views that go parallelly. One is people who say,
sorry, but which item on the agenda are we discussing? You had set out some agenda.
yes,
So are we going by that agenda, or we are having a general discussion?
we are having a general discussion getting into that agenda, and I think we are on point one, need to spread across peace, need to spread across Asia Pacific. So I'm coming towards that. I think there is a very important point, Antonio, because when we talk of peace, there are two views that people have. One is say, okay, don't fight, just have peace. You know, these are pacifist kind of people. And one is what we are also promoting as humanists is an activism against peace, active non-violence. That is a view that is very much necessary. We want to have peace, yes, but we don't want to have the peace of a cemetery where everything is peaceful, there's no noise, nobody talks nonsense, nobody abuses anyone, everything. No, we don't want that peace. We want peace which is creative, which is creating the world, which is active, which is not just an absence of war, which is much more than that. There is peace within us, there is peace around us. And what can the world do when it is peaceful? How the world can be much better when it is peaceful, because as humanists, we believe that if there is peace, that means there would be no poverty. I mean, the economic problems would not be there. The religious violence would not be there. The racial violence would not be there. The psychological violence would not be there. The human rights would be really respected in practical terms. And when human rights are respected and people are given the highest value, then the relationships and the dynamics of relationship at personal as well as social level gets a totally different dimension, which probably the humanity as a whole has not seen so far. It's a totally new area. There may be some experiments, some places here and there, but an experiment at a community level, at a village level, or at a small group level is one thing, but a community at a work of that kind of active peace at a, let's say, at a government level. When we talk government level, we mean all the policies are moving towards that. It's totally different.
Yeah,
And,
I mean, and another thing, so is there is no vision of the future. I mean, barely we are trying to solve the problems that they are chaotic problems of the present. But I mean, if you are a young person, you always think about the future. You have an open future. You are thinking that you will study and that you will develop skills. If you are an artist, that you are going to produce this and that. If you want like adventures, you want to travel and get to know the world. You live out of your future. The present world, because it's an old world, is a chaotic, sclerotic world, doesn't have any view of the future. If you ask the heads of states of any country, you ask Modi, for example, what is the view of the future for India? He will not what to do. I mean, he has no idea because there is no such thing. What is the Indian youth, I mean, think about the next 20 years, the next 30 years? What is the plan? What is the project? What are we trying to build together? Nobody talks about that. The people making money are thinking to make money, and it's a private business for them. They don't explain what they are going to do, and that's it. So really is a vision of the present, and a very sort of difficult and unjust present. That is not interesting for anyone. If we eliminate violence in the world and we can set a project for humanity and for each country and for each village and every place, that will be a completely different thing.
So with that, I would like to come towards more precisely towards our agenda of today, that we are very clear in this informal discussion that we need to spread across Asia Pacific. Julius said a very interesting line, which has been repeated many times though, is that the tradition of peace from Asia needs to become stronger and needs to be introduced to the whole world in a very strong way. And that's what the purpose of this whole Asian People's Peace Union is. So I would like to invite Lakshmanan to tell us the point number 2 and 3 formally, and we go on discussing these points to come to some conclusions. Lakshmanan, are you there? No, Lakshmanan got disconnected. Lakshman, he's there. Lakshmanan, please switch on your camera if possible. Yeah, he's having a storming.
Yes.
Yes, Lakshmanan.
Yes. Today, our today's agenda already Sudhir told. One, need to spread across Asia Pacific region. Then second one, connect with all possible organizations working in the field of peace and non-violence. And third one, form of teams in each country at national and ground levels for which all are welcome. Fourth one, plan the forum, a physical conference in November or virtual, which will have, we are planning, that is an idea in our mind. These are the points we want to discuss in today's meeting. What we discussed 2 weeks ago, that we formed an Asian People's Peace Union. Different countries, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Nepal, Bangladesh, India, and some other countries also there. Representative from some other countries also participated. But the People's Union just formed, but in those countries, there is no participation. Later, there is no participation in the weekly meetings or such, no action is taking place. Then how we can build a small team of this World Humanist Forum or Asian People's Peace Union in those countries? How we can do that? Our idea is that they can connect so many social and cultural non-violent organizations are working in those countries. Is it possible to connect those organizations and form a team. That is the first idea. So I think today we are very small people. From other countries, there is only one representative. So I don't think we can plan that. From Indian side, we can plan because Ashutosh ji, myself, and Sudhir and some other members are there. So in India, can we connect with other organization like Gandhian organization? So is it possible? That is the first thing we want to discuss. And if it is possible, we can connect with the other organization. That is a must thing because we cannot go this way because only we are meeting with so many very few people. So how we can develop this? So this is the point number 2. So I invite all participants to share their ideas for the development of this Asian People's Union. Okay,
in continuation of this view, I had traveled to Morena. I'm thankful for the invitation from the Gandhians, from Mr. Rajagopal. And we have Mr. Vijay with us from there. And he has been given the task of connecting other organizations to us. So Vijayji, if you have any query, question about it, and how do you want to proceed about it, if you can share those points, that will help our friends to understand where we stand vis-a-vis this aspect.
Yeah, thank you, Sudhir. I think it's a great opportunity to meet new people. And I'm happy that Sudhir came to Morena, and I think whatever he spoke on the dais, I think it connected well with our mission. See, simple things connect with the people. When you talk of non-violence, as Sudhir made a mention of active non-violence, I think this active non-violence is very important. See, between the, we say that silence, between silence and non-violence, there's a space for active non-violence. See, active non-space needs to be really encouraged. How can we encourage people to take small actions? Just talking about peace doesn't bring peace. And I'm very happy that all these 4 points of agenda brings out a larger map, a roadmap for how to move forward. And as a person connected with South Asian issues for last 15 years, I came into South Asian picture in 2008 when Rajagopal invited me to join South Asia Peace Alliance. And if you look at the history of South Asia Peace Alliance, you might be aware of Quakers, the Britain Quakers, QPSW. Quakers took a lot of interest bringing South Asian peace networks together, and they have been trying to bring people. In 2003, they visited Ekta Parishad, and they came to Jaura, Morena Jaura, in 2003. And they witnessed what Ekta Parishad is doing in India. So they suggested to Rajagopal, how about bringing South Asians together? So they brought together people from Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Nepal, Bangladesh, Afghanistan for an exposure visit. They came for an exposure visit. They went to different places where Ekta Parishad was working on the non-violent ways, where the rights issue was taken up through non-violence processes. And they have a training programs on non-violence. So they were able to witness that program, and they decided we should form this South Asia Peace Alliance. And we had a meet in Nepal in 2006. April 2006, all the South Asians came together in Nepal and formed this network, a loose network. It's not a registered organization. We have partners in each country, and where partners come together for to carry out the peace process. The South Asia Peace Alliance basically believes in empowering the community. How can we empower the community in non-violence tools? So Ekta Parishad and South Asia, we have developed some tools for non-violence training programs. We conduct training programs for the community workers, how they can resolve conflicts non-violently. So the training programs we have conducting, we have conducted something around 12 programs in India and elsewhere. We have about 3 programs in Nepal, 2 we had in Bangladesh, 2 in Pakistan, 1 in Sri Lanka. So we all came together and developed a manual, and each country developed different manuals in their own way. So till 2012, it was very active. But after that, I think there's a shift. South Asians are not able to come together. Even the SAARC process has dismantled itself. Now it's become more regional one. Like BIMTech has come up and other things have come up. And we had also found People's SAARC, if you remember Sudhir, People's SAARC is also there, which has become inactive for last couple of years. We had organized People's SAARC Summit in Nepal and Bangladesh. But India, we were unable to organize because after the 2014, post-2014, everything has collapsed. So we need to really, the agenda spread across Asia Pacific, we understand. We need to spread that. And networks are there. Through Ekta Parishad, land issue has been very prominent in Asia. And through the Ekta Parishad, we have been creating our own networks in the regional space. Indonesia, we have got partners. In Thailand, we have partners. And in other places also, Malaysia also there's there. Networks are there. So how do we build up the networks? That's very important. Connecting with the organizations who are working. So I think we have done a very good beginning through this meeting, I think.
I would like to put one point here, Vijayji, specifically for your information. One kind of activity is when we do work at the NGO level, and when that level goes to a higher level kind of Ekta Parishad, where it becomes a movement, that really affects people's life. Yes, Ashutosh, you want to say something?
After you finish.
Okay.
After you finish.
Yeah. That really affects people's life and changes happen. And when they march, they are able to make the government sit up and take notice and bring some changes. All this, from the humanist point of view, is absolutely no doubt a great work and needs to be done. There's absolutely no questions on that. But there is one thing we believe that is missing. And that missing thing is something happened and a lawyer became Mahatma Gandhi. Something happened and a king became Buddha. And we take any example of great people, or even let's take example of a person we know as P.V. Rajagopal. He was not born like this, but something happened in him that made him what he is today and what he is, and all the personalities that we know of. This point of what was that something happened is a very interesting point to study and to understand. And the question is, number one, are we going to wait for that something to happen accidentally to some people, or can we make that happen to everybody? This is what the humanists bring on the table. How I face a very simple question. I love Gandhi. I am inspired by Gandhi. I follow Gandhi. But my next question is, I want to be Gandhi. And I want to go further than Gandhi, where he would have gone if he was alive. I want to go further than Buddha, where if he was alive, what to do that? This is what we bring on the table. For the activists who are working, how do they not just intellectually understand that I have a meaning of life, I want to help people, I want to work for people, so I renounce my money and blah, 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 and I do something great, and the person does something great. But how to experience that meaning of life and how to help others experience that meaning of life. This is what we bring, because then what happens? Then what happens? Let's say, for example, a few years ago, I had nearly 400 people with me in Delhi. Today, I have only one at my home, me and my wife. No? But this does not kill my enthusiasm, because I am not going into activities because of numbers. I'm going with
Yeah.
my own internal conviction. There is something that drives me internally permanently. And of course, when there are more people, I have more encouragement, and when you have less people, I have less encouragement. But that less or more encouragement does not affect me as a person that I say, oh, nothing can be done. Let's forget it. You know, this is what. And today, in a little while, we'll do a one experiment of just 2 minutes on how to kind of start achieving that. So this is a point that we need to understand and bring on the table for the activists who are doing things, so that the external aspects, like you said, a very crucial thing, that post 2014, a lot of things have got crashed. The thing is, we have to safeguard those things. We may go down in the activity, we may have some problems, so we retreat for a while, but we may not be able to meet for 2 years. But today, the video conference gives us a very interesting feature. We can meet from anywhere.
Yes.
I mean, today we have people with us from Iceland, from UK, from Bangladesh, and rest of us from India. You know, it's as simple as that. So that is something that we bring on the table that we need to do. Yes, Ashutosh.
Vijayji, very interesting points you have made. One is about the South Asian Peace Alliance, and after 2012, it seems to have stopped. But I'm sure you have the contacts of people in Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, and Sri Lanka. If we can revive those contacts and bring them into the Asian People's Peace Union, and that will be a great thing. Because what I see is the difference is that the South Asian Peace Alliance was inspired from outside South Asia, whereas the Asian People's Peace activity or initiative is now being developed as a need of South Asia or Asia in general. And the need is very, pressing and urgent, because as, both Antonio, Sudhir Bhai, and our friend from Iceland were talking, the nuclear dangers of India and Pakistan being armed with nuclear weapons as well as nuclear power plants, these are very pressing and urgent issues. And therefore, it is necessary to bring our Pakistani friends as well as all other South Asian neighbors into the peace effort is very urgent and important. The second point which you made is also very important, and that is after 2014, things have been dismantled, and the SARC process also has been, shelved or put into cold storage. And this has happened because our government in India thinks that it can take action with total disregard of what is needed by people, or what is needed by the common masses or common people. And this has to be opposed, and this has to be opposed in a very peaceful, non-violent manner. That is active non-violence that we have been talking about. So we have to press upon our government to revive the peace process.
You're on mute, Ashutosh. Ashutosh, you are on mute.
Useful, there are very useful initiatives taken in SARC on energy as well as agriculture and culture. So these have to be revived, and we have to bring pressure on our governments, and that is the whole thing about active non-violence. So I think it is very therefore urgent necessity that we not only come together, but we develop a plan of action, and that plan of action has to be based on content of peace, which is human security. That's what was put forth by Professor Chaminda Padmakumara in the conference, that peace is not absence of war, but peace is built on the basis of human security, which is freedom from hunger, freedom from fear, and freedom from indignity. So we have to establish this, and for that, the active non-violence is the only way. And for that, we have to come together. And this is of urgent necessity. It is not something nice to do, but it is something that we must do today. And therefore, I think we should impress upon our friends and contacts in South Asian Peace Alliance that these are not some nice to do things, but these are must do things in today's context. So they must come together. We must join hands. It is not because it is good to join hands. It is necessary to join hands so that we preserve this human civilization.
Thank you, Ashutosh, for using that term, that it is not that we are doing something which is nice to do. It is something that is necessary to do for the actually survival of the humanity. Before I go further, Julius wants to say something.
Yeah, it is actually only to say that I'm committed to be in another meeting now, but I must express my gratitude for being invited to this meeting. And I think what is being initiated here is as a seed that is such a valuable contribution for the whole world in the situation we find ourselves in. So I say thank you very much. Peace, force, and joy to all of you.
To you.
Yeah. Okay.
Bye,
Julius.
Julius,
Okay.
and all the best
See
with
you
the other
later.
meeting.
Okay.
Peace,
You
peace,
are
force, and joy to
starting
you.
of this
Yeah.
meeting, to go further.
Okay. Thank you.
So-
Thank you. Thank you.
Anyway, taking that point further, we need to do this thing of the peace across Asia because it is required for the survival of the world. And the kind of what peace should be and how peace should be taken forward can come from the traditions of Asia as the best. Not that others cannot give it. That is not the point. The point is that if it comes from Asia, it will be more acceptable to the whole world, because there is a tradition of peace and people understand peace better in this part of the region. As Julius was telling us that people don't understand, no, don't worry, the nuclear bomb will be thrown on Ukraine and not on Poland. You are safe here. So it is not that people in India and Pakistan understand that better, but that shows the kind of lack of understanding which is really bordering beyond foolishness that we have in the world today. What people don't realize is that, for example, pollution has no boundaries. So if it happens in one country, it happens in the next country and the next country also, which is going on. But people are so much mesmerized with the fashion and the brands and the daily survival problems that they don't have time for this. So we need to bring people, and what we are focusing through this forum is we need to bring organizations together, for the simple reason that when I as an individual join somewhere, that group gets one more person added. But when I join as a humanist movement, representing humanist movement, then it's a million people getting into that and million people getting the feedback from that. So we believe that if organizations come together, things can grow towards peace much faster than otherwise. And it is very, very interesting to see that actually there are many organizations. It is not that the World Humanist Forum or the Asian People Peace Union is the first attempt of peace. It's probably the latest attempt, if at all. There have been number of great attempts. The World Humanist Forum is not a forum that wants to be the forum of the world. No. As I said in Morena, it is a place for information exchange and networking. That's all. There are no kings here. There are no followers here. There are no leaders here. All are equal. It's a flat horizontal organization where people come together to do their things and to find who else is like me. So I come here and I find Antonio also wants to talk about the same issue. So I and Antonio start contributing towards each other's ideas and start participating something, and we tell the whole world. That's all. We are not subjected to anything, to anybody else on this forum. So it's that kind of initiative where we want 1,000 flowers to bloom simultaneously, equally, with their own identity, with their own beauty, and let somebody come and like only one flower, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. The others add to that beauty, to that environment. That is the point that we are doing. And what we are planning as a, let's say, as a idea to start with, is that maybe in November this year we can have what we called a forum. That is an event. I would put that event like this. Let's say we have a very large, let's say we have a football ground or a cricket ground, and we put up 20 tents, separate tents in that ground, and people of 20 different issues come under the tent of their issue. Somebody working on human rights, somebody working on environment, somebody working on nuclear issues. They work in different tents. They discuss the issues threadbare, and they come to two levels of plan. One, how to make these things more known to people and connect more people with them, and to build an initiative that can really force the governments to behave in a non-violent way. So these two things should happen simultaneously. People coming together, building up themselves as the Gandhis of the future, and changing the society, forcing the government, and not just if you're working in India, we are going to force the government across Asia. And then as Asia, we go to other regions, and the other regions are doing the same thing. So we will build a platform, a target of what the government should do across the world. We are not going to behave here like an Indian, a Pakistani, a Bangladeshi, an Australian or Chinese or whatever. We're going to behave as human beings, and to start with as human beings of Asia working together. So we all can contribute how to.
So, Sudhir bhai,
all that. And I have just one question for you who are here today.
Before that, I want to make
okay for our weekly meeting, or do we need to take it a little ahead or a little backwards? The idea of 4:30 is that if we delay it more, then our friends from Bangladesh, or more than Bangladesh, from Philippines, goes on, we can to them. Okay. Hello. Hello.
Sudhir bhai, can you?
Can I? Can't hear you.
Froze on.
Hello.
Yes, Antonio.
I think Ashutosh wanted to say something. I have a couple of comments that I would like to make also.
Yes. I just wanted to say that, you know, you are talking now about the World Humanist Forum Asia, which is a forum, whereas the Asian People's Peace Union is a different organization within the World Humanist Forum Asia.
Yeah.
Yes. It
so
is
when you talked about the November session, that November session is of World Humanist Forum Asia, or is it of Asian People's Peace Union?
No, it will be an event. It will be a forum of World Humanist Forum, within which Asian Peace Union will be one major issue.
And peace and wars is one of the topics that the forum is going to contemplate. That's been in the program.
So it is not going to be. So it is not going to be a session of the Asian People's Peace Union.
Yes, because I mean, will be lots of sessions in the forum. The forum is a congregation of sessions. Some other people will be talking about human rights. Some other people will be talking about science and technology towards the future. What are the main problems faced by that particular area of interest? War and peace will be one of them. And this organization that we just formed will be discussing this, but with people from other countries. So they are complementary.
They are complementary. But today we are meeting for the Asian People's Peace Union.
Yes.
This meeting is for Asian People's Peace Union.
But the idea is to explain the overall perspective to everybody, and to see that we work within the overall perspective. And every issue and the people working with that issue will have their own space to work with that issue without being submerged with other issues. There's no one issue going to take over the other issue, or one issue better than the other issue. No.
There I complement what I wanted to say, that because I have heard Ashutosh with his legal organized mentality. When some meeting is called for a certain purpose, he wants to stick to that purpose and not to be all over the place. A lawyer gets very nervous when things are in that way, because you cannot defend a case in court.
If we are going away from that, we should make it clear that.
Yes, yeah. I agree. But I mean, that's why I want to suggest that since we agree in all the basics and we are reading from the same page, it's about time that when we meet, we do some specific work. For example, which I was just saying, how you have gone in the history of Ektaparishat for different cycles of greater intensity and greater success and greater influence and growth, and others shrinking. We have been in the humanist movement 50 years, expanding all over the world, and we have gone through the same cycles. Everything in life goes through cycles. Everything is in movement. And the sensibilities and the experience of the people in general, the public, are also changing. The new generations and the people at this modern times, they don't have too much patience to talk too long about the same things and then interminably, because they get bored or because they have other things pressing in the mind, and then they get distracted. And therefore, if that happens to them, they stop coming or they stop attending meetings where they feel that they are not getting enough along the lines of what they are interested. So I suggest that every time that we meet, since we are in agreement about the basic things, that we could do some specific work. Through these modern technologies, like now, we could be here holding a meeting or a training where we are learning lots of things about non-violence according to the programs or the experience of Ektaparishat. Or we can working in some aspects of the psychology of new humanism that explains what are the sources of violence in the human consciousness. Because if violence crops up in your consciousness, obviously you are going to act violently in the external world. And wherever you go, you will be violent because of the same reason. If you don't tackle the problem here, you will fail in behaving in a different manner as well. So there are so many things that we could be sharing with people, and people after each one of these meetings would feel, no matter where in Asia or where in the world they are, they would say, wow, this is something interesting for me. And if on top of that, there are some practices that they can repeat by themselves every day at home or wherever they are, like the practice that I suspect Sudhir wants to propose to do a bit later now, and then see the life start to change. And one day, they don't know why exactly, it will have changed in such a way that they start to see reality in different manners. And there you have a new Gandhi starting to born, because the behavior of that person will change for good, starting from that point. That's what I wanted to say. We have to do it.
Thank you very much. Nazrul, are you there now? Hello, Nazrul.
I'm listening.
Yes, Nazrul.
Yeah, I'm here.
I want you to tell us something. Number one, I understand that in Bangladesh, Sunday is not a holiday. So would you like to have a separate meeting on another day for Bangladesh that I can coordinate with you and friends in Bangladesh, number one. And number two is that you or somebody, whoever, as a person coordinating between that meeting and this meeting, can be here on Sundays. And for that, I want to ask again this question, that is 4:30 p.m. India time okay for everybody? Or do we need to change it a little forward or a little backward? Knowing very well that if we make it a little more later, then it's a problem for many people, specifically in Australia and South Korea and Philippines, that want to keep joining us. So what is your view on that?
Well, about the first topic, yeah, we can organize a separate. Yeah, about the first topic, we can organize a separate meeting, and let's speak with Bangla friends, and later we you can propose in the Bangla coordination. You are in the over there, no? So you can propose about this, and we can find a date for our Bangla people along with you. And about the timing, really, it is very tough time because Sunday is a working day, and
Yes.
5 p.m. normally the office closes. Most of all the government offices at 5 and private office closes at 6. And to come back in the home, it takes about 1.5 hours. Sometimes it takes 2 hours. So
Yeah.
for us, convenient time is 8 p.m. But I'm not sure it is good for you or not. But it is my opinion. 8 p.m. is convenient for all of us in Bangladesh.
6 p.m. Bangladesh time.
No, 8.
8 p.m. Okay. No, 8 p.m. Bangladesh time would mean about 7:30 India time. For India, it may be okay, but then for other places, that would be a problem. So let's keep a separate meeting for Bangladesh. I will make that announcement in the group and we'll do that. And we'll have somebody or the other from your team coming here for this meeting every time to coordinate. Otherwise, I will do that coordination. Not a problem. We'll do that. That would be great. Thank you very much.
Let's see about the time, the difficulty arises, but let's see if we can decide in our next meeting, in Bangla meeting.
Exactly.
And then we decide who can coordinate from Bangladesh. No problem. Okay.
Exactly.
So thanks to all of you. And I was listening, and it was very nice.
Can you stay for
very nice occasion
Can you stay for 5 more minutes?
to hear, because for me it was I'm gathering some.
Okay, can you stay for 5 more?
How many?
5 more minutes. Can you stay?
Yeah. I can. No problem.
Okay. So, as I was talking, since Vijay has come for the first time, and Antonio was rightly expecting that, I will introduce a very small practice that we can do on our own. Takes less than 2 minutes, and I will share the screen. Here it is. So what we will do is we will sit down with our eyes. I will explain it in a half a minute what it is, and then we'll do it. We'll sit down comfortably with our eyes closed and one hand on the heart, like it is there in the picture. And then we will breathe deeply, but we will breathe deeply from our mouth and taking the air to our heart. And then in that position, we will ask for some things, a brief prayer. And this prayer need not be to the God. It can be to your God, goddess, your internal guide, or whatever inspires you. It can be to Gandhiji or whoever, and we'll come out of that. And when it is over, I will tell you. So let us do that. Please sit comfortably with your eyes closed. One hand on your heart. Breathe deeply from your mouth, taking the air to your heart, feeling the air in your heart with your hand. Keep breathing deeply from your mouth, taking the air to your heart, and thus relaxing yourself. Now, with all your faith and your inner strength, ask for the best for your loved ones and yourself. Ask for the best for yourself and your loved ones. Keep breathing deeply with your mouth, taking the air to your heart, and ask for your life to have unity. Ask for a life without contradictions. this is a brief asking, a brief prayer that does not need much time. When you have finished, you can gently come back to us in this space and time. When you have finished the asking, you can gently open your eyes and come back to the meeting.
Thank you, Sudhir. Very nice to be in contact with ourselves.
Thank you, Nazru. Now this is just a very small, simple method of starting to connect with the deep world that is within us. There is a lot more, a very systematic program that exists that we offer to all people who come to us without any obligation and without any cost. It is just free. All of it is available for free download, and use it or misuse it on your own. There are no problems, no objections, nobody to question you. And anybody in the world needing help to do it will find someone who will be available without obligations to do it. The idea is that this work, when we get connected with ourselves, we get connected with that force that converted a lawyer to Mahatma Gandhi, that converted a king to Buddha, and so many others. This is what has been rescued by Silo, who founded the movement from the human history and brought it forward together as a very, very systematic program. Sometimes we call it personal development, but it is not a personality development program. It is not something that we sell. It is something that is available free for everyone. And we help all those who want to do this work with us or without us, that is immaterial, and to go forward. So with that, while we formally complete the topics, we remain with the work of that we will meet 4:30 p.m. every Sunday on the same link. And I will coordinate with Bangladesh a separate meeting for them because they have a working day on Sunday. Also, I had discussion with friends in Nepal. They also have a working day on Sunday, so they'll set up a separate meeting. We'll do that with them. And like this, we'll go forward. And let's keep inviting more organizations as well as individuals so that the network grows and peace can stand a chance in Asia. And now I think we have to take it to a level where it is no more a chance, but it happens in actual sense.
Very nice to meet you. Very nice to meet you, Vijay. And I hope that in the future we'll keep in very close contact. Take care. And Ashutosh, Pawan, Sudhir, take care.
Nice. Yeah.
Peace, force, and joy to all of
Force and joy to you too.
Thank you. Thank you. Peace, force, and joy.
Okay, Vijayji, I will look forward to meeting you at Delhi during
Sure.
your.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll be coming to Delhi soon. Yeah.
Great, great, great. And let me know whatever needs to be done, the discussion to invite others or whatever. If
Sure,
a
sure.
discussion is required, I'm always available. You have my number, you have my mail.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Definitely.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Bye.
much. Bye.